Something you had mentioned is that within a mining company, you have operational staff, you have other staff that are part of, for example, the innovation and technology groups, and you have priorities of a head office or that come from abroad. And so how do we manage these different stakeholders? Because each one has something that they want or they expect. Would you have any advice as to how you can manage?
I would start off by saying that when I was in tier 1 miners, I was like, my clients were also on the production side because I was looking after technology and innovation.
Yeah.
So outsiders from the tech and supply space were experiencing things which I was also experiencing, which quite often they don't recognize. So I like to think I can speak from a certain amount of authority with that. If you don't have the site leadership on board on something, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Because they are ultimately responsible for delivery of a product. You might have co-accountability because you, for example, putting in the technology, but your success is going to depend on them.
Yeah.
Innovation teams and other corporate groups, you need to engage and ensure that they are on board. Because if they're not on board, they're going to add white noise to the relationship. And ultimately, to be successful, you're going to, and say if you've got a digital product, you're going to need a technology function or an IT function on board with you for it to be enabled. Because none of the things we're really dealing with are just owned by a single individual. There's a pot of multiple people. And that probably brings me to the element which, as an industry, we do really, really poorly, and that is change management. I think where the industry has done it well is in mine haulage, the automation of that.
Yeah.
Particularly in operations which have been going concerns, because they could not afford any hiccup in the changeover because of production. So there's been very strong change management around that. Ultimately, what we need to do is take that change management and move it into all the projects, independent of whether they're small or big, for them to have a better chance to go somewhere. And that change management is not just on the operator level. You need change management which is tiered for the different levels in the hierarchy. It needs to deal with the why. It needs to be able to give tools to the people. It needs to educate them if education is required to be able to operate, well, commission and operate afterwards. You need to have understandings around things like how are roles going to change. So for example, if you're rolling out, let's say, an artificial intelligence solution, someone which is now basically taking decisions for you, previously the operator would be taking those decisions. Now, first of all, you're going to get resistance from the operator because you're taking something away from him or her. But what you're really doing is that operator now needs to be a data controller or data owner, best said. And the supervision needs to become a data steward, because the quality of the decisions in artificial intelligence is dependent on the data.
Exactly.
But who writes those role descriptions? Who helps with that? Who explains to the operator or the supervisor that these things need to change, and the KPIs along with that change as well? So that needs to be part of the change management. And personally, just sticking on change management for a while, the client, the operations group need to own the change management. But the vendor needs to come there with the content to be able to supply to the change manager and say, this is the content which is required. This is the impact which is going to happen with your jobs. These are the tools which they're going to have to learn to use. These are the education pieces and the training pieces which are required. And it's really a question of having that good conversation around accountability of that right up front, so people are crystal clear on how that's going to play out.